Hi everyone! I am so excited to talk to you about red light therapy today. We're going to be joined by Bryan from Red Light Rising. So stay tuned. I'm really happy to talk about any question that you might have. So we'll get Bryan in a minute. Hi!
Hello,
All the
how are
way
you
from
doing?
South Africa. How exciting!
Yes, ma'am. How are you, Charlene?
So good. So glad to have you. How are you?
Beautiful. I'm really good. I'm really good. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me on to have this little chat.
Of course. I wasn't sure whether I should put my red light panel on. I'll do
It's
later
always a good
on to
idea.
show the audience.
It's always a good idea.
Let's start by introducing you, Bryan. I'm so honored to have you on the channel today. Let's go straight to it. Tell us about red
Sure.
light.
Yeah, okay. So for those that don't know, we're talking about red light therapy. And when we talk about red light therapy, we're actually talking about two very specific kinds of light. So you know yourself that when you switch on your light, it's very bright red. So that, of course, is the red light. And now there's another kind of light that we use in red light therapy, and that's called near infrared light. And this is invisible light. So in your example, when you switch your lights on, it's a very bright red. And there's also some light bulbs that look like they're not working, but that's because the light coming out of there is the near infrared light.
That's
So
really
that's what
good to
we
know because I know a lot of people receive their red light and they think, oh my God, one of the two is not working. So maybe if you want me to grab my panel and show our audience how that looks
Sure.
like,
Yeah, do
let's do
it.
that.
Yeah. Okay. Greetings, everyone. If anybody's got any questions, they can write the questions in the comments and we'll do our best to answer all the questions today. But we're going to have a quick chat about red light therapy and hopefully do some explaining. There it is, the red light.
All right, so got the large one, so it's
Quite a pain to move around.
there we go. So
There
what
we
we're
go.
talking about is, as you guys can see, every other one looks like it's not on.
Exactly. Well, that's the near infrared light, and that's invisible. And what's important about this red and near infrared light is that it's a very healthy form of light that actually comes from the sun. So, the sun is very important for our health every day, for many different reasons, because there's so many different kinds of light that are involved in sunlight. Of course, the most obvious is the UV light that everybody is familiar with. You spend too much time in the sun. Well, you spend a little bit of time in the sun, you get a nice tan. If you spend too much time in the sun, you get sunburnt, and that is from the UV light. But you also get, obviously, all the colors of the rainbow: the blue, the green, the orange, the red, the infrared, the far infrared, the X-ray, the gamma ray. There's a lot of different light that comes from the sun. And science has discovered that a lot of them are healthy. Like UV light is very healthy for you in small amounts, and some of the other light that's very healthy is the red and infrared light, which does come from the sun as well. So with this idea of red light therapy, we're able to mimic that part of the sun that's very healthy and put it into a product like our lights that you can then use in your house when there's no sun, or it's winter, or it's very dark outside. You can at least have this red light therapy and still get this very healthy red and infrared light onto your body. So, Charlene, I was saying to the people that if they wanted to ask questions,
Yes, I see a question already. So from Chris Mayo, why don't we get enough of this light in our lives naturally?
because especially if you live, well, look, there's two reasons for that. Okay, if you live in the northern hemisphere, I'm not sure where this person lives, but if you live in the northern hemisphere for 8 months of the year, it's cloudy, it's gray, depending where you live, of course. So you're not getting a lot of natural light anyway. And second, if you are like big majority of us, you're working in an office job, You're waking up early in the morning in your house, you get in your car or on the bus, you go to work, you're in your office all day, then you go home and then you're lying in front of the TV or you go to gym and you're constantly indoors. So, human beings aren't getting enough natural light as it is. Even down in places like South Africa, where I am, where there's a lot of great sunshine, people don't spend time in the sun every day because, for so long we were told that too much sun is bad for you, blah, blah, blah. So people have developed a fear. So it's like saying, why don't we drink enough water every day? It's like, because we don't. So, if you're living in the Northern Hemisphere, you're not going to get enough natural light in the winter. And probably not in the summer either, unless you go out every single morning and you watch the sunrise. Then you go out at around 11 a.m. and you get more sun. Then you go out at 2 p.m. and you get more sun. Then you go out at 4:30 p.m. and you get more sun, because the important part of the sun, it changes throughout the day and it's all good for you. So early morning sun is really good for the circadian rhythm. Afternoon sun is really good for vitamin D production and obviously lots of other things. And then the evening sun is also really good for circadian rhythm. So to answer that question, really, we just don't spend enough time because of our modern lives, living indoors, sitting in cars, sitting in offices. So this is why you can get a red light panel and still stay indoors and get a lot of that really, really good benefit from the sun. From the light, sorry.
Yeah.
So something that we should really talk about quickly is what red light therapy actually does for you and why it's so good. Okay. So what we've discovered with science.
So much better with the light, though.
You look good either way, don't worry. So what we found with red and infrared light, it's able to penetrate the body to a depth that no other light can reach. Okay. So very generally, red light is really, really good for the skin and really, really good for the hair and the eyes and the nails and the teeth and the things on the surface of the body. Because red light can only penetrate to about 5 millimeters into the body. So that's, it's not very much. It's just into the skin. But the near infrared light, that's the light that can go through bone, it goes through muscles, it goes all the way through your skin, into your organs, into the joints. It goes through the skull, into the brain, it goes into the eyes. So that's penetrating the body at a much, much deeper level. And what this does is very, very important, is that when the cells of the body absorb this light, because our cells are photosensitive, so that means light affects them, right? Blue light affects us, red light affects us, sunlight affects us. So when these cells absorb this red and infrared light, it causes the first thing, it causes an increase in cellular energy production. Okay, so when you have an increase in cellular energy production, the cell makes more energy, then the tissue has more energy. So if that's a muscle or an organ or the brain or the eyes or the skin, whatever cell or tissue that is, it has more energy to do its job. So it does its job more efficiently and more effectively. That's the first major benefit. The second major benefit is that when this light is absorbed into the cells, it causes a very, very micro stressor on the body. It causes like a little stress to the cell, and it causes that cell to react and to release natural anti-inflammatory enzymes, which then come out of the cell and go into the blood and then circulate throughout the body. So you get this increase in natural anti-inflammatories flowing in your blood and flowing around your body. So, that's a very, very important concept that I always like to share with people, because the next question that people always ask is it good for your eyes? Is it good for your muscles? Is it good for your skin or your brain or your liver or your hormones or your sleep? And the answer is always yes. Red light therapy is good for almost everything. And the reason is because of increase in cellular energy production and increase in anti-inflammatories. When you have those two things working very, very well, everything gets better. Your good health gets better and your bad health gets better. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And Bryan, I had a few questions from our audience before we started this event. So can I go through those questions with you?
Of course.
So I had one question that said, so the recommendation is 20 minutes a day. what happens if I do more than that?
Nothing negative. So what happens is that it's similar to tanning in the sun. You can get a suntan, you can spend a certain amount of time and get a nice suntan, and it's great. But if you spend too much time, you get sunburn, right? And it's kind of okay, you don't get burnt in red light therapy. That was a bad example. But basically, your cells can only absorb a certain amount of light. And with across the whole range of our devices, because we've got lots of different devices that are all different powers. So the 20 minutes is a very, very general estimate across all the lights. If you have very, very powerful lights, you have much less time. And if you have the lowest power light, you can have more time. But your cells can only absorb so much light at one time. And when they're full, then it's just a waste and nothing more happens. So you're not getting any more benefit from that session. So nothing negative will happen. You're just wasting time.
Yeah, and you're wasting your light channel as well.
Yes.
I'm realizing new people are joining, so I just wanted to show again what we're talking about here.
That's
the
great.
red light channel. So another question that I got, and obviously I can't quite demonstrate without getting kicked out of Instagram, is do we need to be naked? So the answer is yes. But Ryan, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So for the best benefits, it really has to be light on the skin, right? So you want to avoid any clothing, you want to avoid any kind of makeup or any oily creams or whatever else you're using. So the best bet, what we tell people is as naked as possible. Women can be completely naked because the infrared light is also very, very good for fertility and the sex hormones, which are very important for female health. But for men, we always say men should wear underwear at least, or a swimsuit or something like that, because the near infrared light is not good for male fertility. It's not good for the testicles. Red light is very, very good for the testicles, but infrared light, which is the invisible one, is not great. So what I do is I do completely naked, and I'll do about 3 minutes just with the red light, completely naked, including on my testicles, because it's really good for testosterone and fertility. And then when I switch on the infrared light, then I put both my hands, I put some underwear on, and I just hold both my hands over my testicles just to be a little bit safer. There's no like crazy negative side effects, but so far we just are advising that men don't do near infrared light on the testicles, but everything else is amazing to be exposed to this light.
Amazing. Really appreciate that answer. And then another question I had was, what about pets and children?
Perfect. So what a lot of our clients actually notice is that animals naturally gravitate towards the light. If you've spent some time on our Instagram, every day we get photos of cats and dogs, and we've had tortoises and all animals, because the animals instinctively, they're obviously a lot more connected to nature, and they just know when they're in the presence of something good. So yeah, it's fantastic for animals. It's fantastic for children as well. For children, we say just start very, very slow, because it can be very energizing. So if you've got mostly what we find is that it actually calms children down, because it optimizes, all of their little systems. Their little bodies are growing so fast and everything's working so intensely. So, especially unfortunately, if they're having like sugary snacks and maybe some processed food, kids can get very hyper. And red light is really beautiful for them. It calms them down. It helps them focus. It helps balance their mood if they have some mood issues. And using the red light at night for children is also very, very good, because it helps them calm down. You switch off all the artificial light, and you just have that beautiful red glow, in their bedroom or in their playroom or in the house in general. And it's just the most calming, relaxing thing. We hear a lot of messages from parents that say like, oh, I've got a different child now. I put the red light on at night and the child just calms down and they go to sleep beautifully. Really good for kids and pets.
And also, I think it's important to tell parents not to worry about whether or not the children open their eyes, because it's actually really good for the eyes. So if your kids are opening their eyes in front of the panel, let them. It's
exactly.
Actually a good thing. Now, Bryan, I had another question actually about the eye. relating to once you're leaving the panel and you've done 20 minutes, you see everything in a bit strange, like light looks green and vice versa. And I know it can be super freaky. So can we reassure our audience a little bit? I'll jump the jacket.
Okay.
I'm actually enjoying a little bit on the... so what would you say to anyone that's worried about feeling that different eyesight just after they've used the panel?
Look, it like you said, it can be a little bit freaky if it's your first time because you're not expecting it. So the body, sometimes for some people, especially people who are a little bit more sick or they have a little bit more mitochondrial issues, when you first have red light therapy, it can be quite overwhelming because suddenly your whole body gets a boost. And part of what gets a boost can be your detox systems. So if you're holding on to a lot of toxins or like negative chemicals or whatever in your body, and then you get this red light therapy, sometimes people get a headache or they feel nauseous or they feel a little bit out of balance because it's like the body's just got a shot of adrenaline. So suddenly everything is kicking in, and sometimes the toxins can start to be processed a lot quicker, so they can feel a little bit wobbly. And the same can be with the eyes. You know, if you've got really weak eyes and then suddenly you have this really, really bright red light, and then you switch the light off, and like you say, all the other colors seem really, really weird, it usually only lasts a couple of seconds. And it's just because the eye has to adjust, right? Because when, as you know, when you have such a bright red light, everything looks red. So your eye adjusts in whatever way it needs to. And then when the red light goes off, it needs to just readjust. That's all. So, you know, it doesn't even happen to me anymore because I've been doing red light therapy for so long. I've definitely noticed a strengthening of my own eyes. I can be in the bright sun a lot more without feeling like, oh, the sun is so bright. And it's 100% proven with many, many studies to be perfectly safe for the eyes. And it's in fact very, very healthy for the eyes. So if people do have, you know, weak eyes or some kind of eye condition or whatever, it's very good to get red light therapy in your eyes.
And especially for all, which is most of us nowadays, working on screen all day long, right? It's that ultimate remedy, which I think is really cool. Now, another question that I got was, is it best to use it before the workout or after the workout? So if we're talking about like an athlete or someone that's really into fitness, are they going to use it as a pre-workout or are they going to use it as a post-workout?
They can use it as both. So, and I'll tell you why. So it depends on the athlete. So in my example, sometimes if I'm feeling okay, like if I've got no injuries, I've got no stiffness, I've got a good recovery, then I will use it after the workout. Okay, because I feel good, I'll do my warm up, I'll do my workout, and then I'll do the red light therapy to then kind of speed up the healing from that workout. But now, if I have an injury or if I had a massive workout the day before, for example, then I'll do it before my workout because then I get those warm-up benefits. I get the anti-inflammatory benefits. I get the increased circulation to the joints and the muscles. So I'm getting like an extra warm-up before the workout. So it just depends on, you know, exactly the condition of the athlete, but you're going to get the thing about red light therapy is, so if you have 20 minutes in the morning, the effects of that treatment, obviously they'll be ongoing for as long as you keep the treatment, but those effects will be with you for 6 to 8 hours after your session. So even if you do red light therapy at 8 a.m. and then you only work out at midday, your body is still working with all that increased energy and that increased anti-inflammatories. So it's, you know, the good thing about red light therapy, any time is a good time, basically.
And is your recommendation to stay static in front? So, for example, I know some people will buy maybe just the bulb from you. You sell that one bulb that is really convenient when traveling or the traveling stack. But if you get the big panel like I do, is your recommendation to stay, for example, in the seated meditative position, or does someone benefit from moving and going into that flexibility? What's your recommendation, Bryan?
Yeah, you can do both of those. So, you know, if you're moving around, you're moving away from the light, you're moving close, you're going to get less of the light benefit, right? Because the best benefit is when you are standing very, very close to the light. So the light doesn't spread out and go cover the whole room. it doesn't have space. It goes directly onto your skin and then goes inside you. So that's the best way to get the most benefit. But if you want to sit and meditate, of course you can do that. If that's, the way you want to do it, you're going to get great benefits then. It's going to be very, very calming. Sometimes I do yoga. I put the light on,
Awesome.
on the side of me, and I practice my yoga. I'm going to get great benefits for my eyes. I'm going to get great benefits for my skin. But because you're further away from the light, you're going to get less light being absorbed deep into your body, because obviously as light travels, it kind of gets weaker and weaker and weaker before it hits you. So, if you want to meditate, you can meditate in front of the light, perfect. But if you've got an injured shoulder, put the shoulder right in front of the light and
Sure.
focus it like that.
Makes sense. And I know the recommendation is about 30 centimeter away from the skin. Can you get too close? What if someone in our audience is worried about getting too close? Like, do you literally like hug the panel, or what do you
I
recommend?
do. Look, we in the early days, we kind of, again, so the 20 minutes is a general recommendation, and the 20 to 30 centimeters is a general recommendation. But what I'm realizing through my own experience and through more obviously studying the science that is coming out about it, because there's new science every day about it, the closer the better, because the nature of the light is that if you are 30 centimeters away, in that space, the light is getting weaker and weaker, and it's actually disappearing all out around you. So it might be very, very powerful coming out of there, but every inch it moves away, it's getting weaker and weaker. So, especially for those deep benefits, for the deep muscle benefits, the deep bones, and the organs and the brain. These are all very, very important, because you get a lot of stem cells coming out of your bones, which are very, very good for healing the entire body. And you're only going to get, you get more stem cells with infrared light. So I always say, like, the best benefits, you have to get right up close to it. So with the target light, I hold it on my shoulder. I don't keep it away. I don't do, obviously you don't hold it on your face because it's uncomfortable, but on my shoulder, I hold it on my shoulder, no problem. With the big lights, if I'm focusing on joint pain or muscle pain, I go as close to the light as possible. They don't get hot. They don't burn you. There's no danger at all.
Wow.
So if you're getting right, yeah, if you're getting right close up to the light, you need less time, right? So if you were going to keep your hand this far away, I would say to you 10, 15 minutes to get the deep benefits, to get the amount of energy onto your hand. But if you're going to hold your hand on the light, 5 minutes,
Yeah.
because you're getting that same amount of energy a lot quicker.
Absolutely. Now, one of my little ritual that I really like to hack my skin is actually I put copper peptide serum or cream, and then I go onto the light. And I had a question around what's your recommendation vis-a-vis putting products and then going into the light to kind of, intensify a little bit the effect of whatever it is that you might have put on your hair or your skin. What's your take on that? For example,
Well,
what if someone in our audience likes to use magnesium oil before going to sleep? Like, what's your view on using a product and going into the light?
we are actually starting to look at that ourselves to kind of get some literature together to see what's doing what. So, when you say things like, what's your recommendation on whatever product you're using, it's like, it's we have to look at each individual product at the same time.
Of
So
course.
so at the moment, what we do know is that green tea antioxidants are very, very good, and I'm sure you're aware there's a lot of good, really good quality facial products or skin products that contain those green tea antioxidants. So, that's very, very good because it does increase the benefits of the red light therapy on the skin. But, until we are way more clear on what does what, the best thing to do is just be completely without the products. So if you've got a nice routine with your skin or whatever, I would recommend doing the red light first. It takes 10, 15 minutes, get that done, then do your skin routine. I think that's the safest. I mean, it's not dangerous, but that's the safest to keep your benefits of both products.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's really, really good to know. I've experienced both doing my magnesium oil after or before, and I feel like if I do the red light 10 minutes before, and then I put the magnesium oil, then I can go to sleep and fall asleep super quickly. So it's
Beautiful.
nice. I really like
That's
it.
great.
Well, wonderful. Well, where can everybody find this amazing panel? I'm going to show it again. I just wanted to share with our audience, like, I know we're coming close to festive season. I'm not massively into, you know, overbuying things. And I think it's better to try and get people experiences, and time is probably the best present that you can get anyone, just quality of time. However, health is the biggest gift that you can give the people that you love. So instead of, you know, consuming stuff that's just going to accumulate on a shelf, why don't you get your loved one something that, you know, can make them the better them or the better you?
Exactly, or both. Of
Or
course. I mean,
both, and you use it together.
exactly, you know, and that, you know, you bring a great point. You know, it's, you know, buying too much stuff is, you know, not really good for anybody. But, and the first thing I actually always like to say, you know, when people say like, hey, I want to buy a light, like I want to get healthy and buy a light, I say, well, you know, have you done all the free stuff first? Are you doing all the other things that are part of a healthy lifestyle before buying red light therapy? You know, because obviously, you know, I would like people to buy the light, but if someone's sitting at home, you know, not getting the proper light from the sun, not sleeping properly, not eating a good diet, not exercising, then red light therapy is, you know, it's going to work for you, but you're going to just kind of like, it's like putting a band-aid over an injury, you know. You're not looking after the injury, you're just covering it up. So red light therapy will make you feel good, but if you keep having an otherwise unhealthy lifestyle, you're just going to keep undoing your work and then constantly catching up. So yeah, people can check us out, of course, at Red Light Rising. They can check out our Instagram. We're very, very active on Instagram. They can also check out the website, which is redlightrising.co.uk. And we also have Facebook as well, of course. And they can also find my profile on the Red Light Rising profile. They can find me, and they can find my business partner, James Strong. He's also got an incredible story and a lot of great information that he shares. And for anybody who is interested in buying some lights right now, we should, you know, you've got a code, right, Charlene?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Of
if you guys
course.
put my name at checkout, you'll get a discount. So that's really cool. I'll make sure that I put that into the link to our events.
Great.
That's really
Perfect.
great to know. And actually, I wanted to add a little bit about like a personal sharing, because I've been using the light, and I'm one of those people that, you know, tracks my sleep with the Aura ring. And I just wanted to say, like, I've actually noticed quite a difference in the quality of my sleep when I do use the light 20 minutes before I head to bed. So I like to use it not right before, but just a little bit before. And I've been tracking, and the difference between when I use the red light and not is amazing. And it's not just in my head, because I can see it with my Aura tracker. So anything you want to share on that, Brian? Because I know it's not a coincidence.
Of course, yeah. I mean, what are you seeing? Are you seeing more REM sleep, or are you seeing more
More
deep
REM
sleep?
sleep and more deep sleep as well. So last time I went all the way to 25% deep sleep, which is pretty cool. I was
Wow.
like, wow. So I got the little Aura crown, you know. I'd
Great.
like to get that crown, and it was the first time that I got the crown, actually.
Good. Yeah, no. So red light therapy, it does a couple of things for your sleep. So, you know, if you use the red light around bedtime, and then I know you are very good in this way, but so after you use the red light near bedtime, you have to then block all the blue light afterwards, or massively decrease your blue light, because the red light in the evening is part of what it's doing is telling your brain that it's sunset, right? Because it mimics that natural cycle of the sun. And of course, in the late afternoon, you get the beautiful sunset normally, and then it's in nature, it's at least pitch black after that. So your body knows that it's naturally time to go to sleep. So with that light signal and the avoidance of blue light afterwards, you're stimulating the melatonin production in your brain, right? And melatonin's the sleep hormone. So you're giving it a good kick start, and it starts to release the melatonin. It then goes into the blood and goes to all the organs. And when the organs and the muscles receive this melatonin signal, they all start to relax and prepare for sleep. So that's one thing that it does. And then the other thing that it does is that the red light actually also stimulates melatonin production in the skin, and I think in the stomach as well, if I'm not mistaken, which is quite, was for a long time we thought melatonin only came in the brain, but we now know that it can also be stimulated in the skin with that red light therapy. So what's probably happening with you is both of those. Your brain knows that it's time to go to sleep, and then you're also getting extra melatonin, so the more melatonin you have, the deeper you're going to sleep. So it sounds like that's
Absolutely,
what's
and
happening
I
for you.
really love that you mentioned the blue lighting glasses. Just to say that to our audience as well. Not only can they find it on your website, but also, guys, if you're using the red light, and then as Bryan said, you're going to flash your phone into your eyes, this is a bit counterproductive. So try to remember, you're trying to block the blue light. When we say blue light, we mean that artificial screen stimulation. So that's your tablet, your iPad, your iPhone, any screen. And no, the red setting on your iPhone is not enough to block the red light, because I get that question a lot. I put my iPhone setting. It's great, but it's not enough. So if you're going to use the red light at night, just make sure that you then have the red blocking, the blue blocking red glasses. Otherwise, you're sort of, not doing it consistently. So yes, I put my glasses right after I use the panel and make sure I don't get extra stimulated with more blue light, and then I literally leave my glasses. And I also put a candle, which I know a lot of people have concern about, air pollutant, but I guess you have to choose the lesser evil. But just make sure you don't have blue light in your bedroom before bedtime.
Exactly. Beautiful. That's something that's why we brought out the blue blockers, because we realized that, once James and I started using these lights, I mean, we've been using them for many years already, but, our own routine started to develop around the light, because we were realizing if I use it at this time, this happens, and I add that and this happens. So we realized about a year ago, we were like, man, after I use the red light at sunset, you have to do blue blocking. Because if you don't do, if you do your red light at sunset and then go watch Netflix, and then you're cooking, and then you're playing on your phone, and you've got all this light, your brain is just completely woken up again. So even though you've got potentially stimulated this extra melatonin, because there's so much bright light, your brain just goes, no, hang on, it must still be the afternoon. Cancel the melatonin. Let's get the adrenaline going again. And you're just ruining everything. So we started doing that in our own lives. And we were like, well, we kind of have to tell people that this is how you've got to do it for the best benefits, and that's part of what we're campaigning about right now is using the red light and the blue blockers together to really, really optimize your health and your sleep. And people love it, man, because people don't.
And it's so important. I think we can over talk a little bit about nutrition, over talk about fitness, but if you don't get your light sorted and your circadian rhythm adjusted, there is a fundamental pillar of health that's just missing. If we think about ancestral wisdom and living congruently with the way we evolved as human beings, we need to go back to Mother Nature. And this is a biohack that's not taking us away from Mother Nature. It's putting us back where we should be. But the modern society, I am into biohacks that are getting us closer to nature and not removing us further away. And the reason I love this is because, sure, if we lived in the jungle or if we lived somewhere in the wilderness, we may not need this as much, or we didn't have so much pollution or clouds. But, with the modern lives that we live, we need to put that back into our lives, get a little bit of that natural feeling in a non-natural life.
Exactly. People used to, well, they do still ask me, what's my best biohack? What's the biohack I recommend the most? And I say, move to a hot country. Move to a country where it's sunny every single day, because everything gets better. When you've got that constant exposure to that sun is the real biohack. But not everybody can do that. People love to live in London. They love New York. They love wherever they are. They have to, family, commitments, careers. They have to live in the city. Okay, fine. If you have to live in the city, then that's when we start talking serious biohacks, red light, blue blocking, fasting, taking retreats in nature, avoiding, just pollutants and making your life as natural as it can be in the city if you can't move to the mountains, or whatever.
Absolutely. Well, Bryan, I can't thank you enough for your time and your wisdom. It's been an absolute honor to have you today. I'll make sure that I pop the link for our audience to go and get their light for Christmas. And yes, thank you so much for sharing all of those tips and all those tricks, and can't wait to have you on board again. And so lucky you're in South Africa when I'm in Grey London. I'm so jealous. You
Yeah,
were
at least
talking
you've got your red
about
light.
choosing country. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm from the south of France and I'm in London, you know.
No, you've made the wrong choice there, but anyway, I'll leave that with
I'll
you.
be back. I'll be back in the sun soon enough, I promise.
Great, great. Thank you so much for having me on, Charlene. Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Cool.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Thanks for
everyone.
joining.
Bye.
Bye.